morning, good afternoon from wherever you join. Welcome to day 9 of Copilot Studio training program. Today, we are going to go one more level up from where we started last time. So, last time specifically, we started our journey with the whole autonomous agent, and specifically, we talked about how you can write the trigger, how you can use the different tools, how you can write the autonomous agent prompt so that your agent should behave sequentially and work accordingly. Now, in this class, we will talk about one of the more interesting concept in the tools, which is called as the custom prompt. So we'll try to explore that concept in detail. People who has already worked with the AI builder of Power Apps, probably they are aware about the custom prompt. But how that custom prompt is useful at the Copilot Studio level as well, we'll explore some of the use cases around that. We will see some of the use cases around the file data type. Let's say for an example, sometimes as an HR you are getting lots of resume, right? But from all this resume, let's say you want to capture a couple of information and you want your agent to make some of the decision that okay, if this candidate is perfectly fit into my organization or not. You want to do all those activities, summarization from it. How you can do it with a custom prompt, we'll see that. Second thing we'll talk about is schedule agent in the Copilot Studio. So far with autonomous agent, we have looked at all the autonomous trigger, like, okay, when someone send you an email, or maybe when item is created into SharePoint, or maybe when someone is submitted Microsoft form. These all are the automated trigger. Now, how schedule trigger also work in the world of Copilot Studio? So let's say for an example, you created one agent and on a daily basis, the agent will start its execution automatically without any human interaction. So how you can create that, we'll see that. And at last we'll talk about, because now we have started using the autonomous agent and so far we use the different concept, like we added the different kind of tool connector. We have added, today we are going to talk about the prompt. So whenever you use any specific connector action inside the Copilot Studio, and whenever you are building any kind of autonomous trigger agent, it consumes certain set of messages from your overall Copilot Studio capacity. So how that overall billing is happened, or how much, how the overall charge is to be calculated, that's something we are going to look at the end of the session. Okay, so this is the overall agenda for today's class. So let's get started and first talk about the first use case that I want to start here. Okay, before that, let's just do a quick recap over here. So last time we built two particular agent. One was training inquiry agent and another was auto refund agent. One we trained with our knowledge base and we added some trigger, we added some sort of tool action and perform that end to end for ourselves. Okay, now, whenever we are working with any kind of agent, at that time I told you tool, basically they introduced this wording tool, right? In tool, they are having the different capability and one of the capability is the prompt. So today's class is all focused on this prompt. So what do we mean by this prompt action and what kind of use cases which you can handle with the prompt use cases? Okay, today first let's try to understand the basic prompting first, and then we will create one agent completely with autonomous plus prompt combination. So two case studies we are looking for this particular example. Okay, so first let's try to understand what do we mean by prompt in Copilot Studio. So basically prompt is useful for analyze and transform your text, documents and images with the natural language and AI reasoning. Okay, now let me tell you what do we mean by this, right? So many times, even if I'm opening my chat GPT, right? So let's say I'm just opening my chat GPT over here on this screen. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I just opened my chat GPT and many times we are doing this activity. Let's say for an example, we are just saying that, okay, I'm just uploading one file over here, right? Let's say I have one of this PDF file over here. Okay, I'm just giving the prompt over here that analyze this file and give me the summary for this candidate. Okay, this is what we usually do into the chat GPT or any other AI platform, whether it's DeepSeek or any other model, right? So, I uploaded this, basically try to understand that. It just make a summary and it just give me the summary like this completely, right? It read the document, it gathered the information and it could just make this complete thing happen for me, right? Now just imagine, now with this, how many use case you will be able to solve this out for yourself. Okay, let me give you some examples over here. You can solve your organization's HR problem. Generally, HR getting on daily basis lots of email, okay, related the resume profiles, and resume can be different. Like it's not necessary that every time it will be the same resume style. Everyone is following the different style for the resume, right? Now, let's say they are sometimes literally getting confused that okay, out of this 100 resume, do I need to open each resume? I need to go to each candidate name, email, and then call them out and read the content and just make the decision that okay, whether this candidate is fit into our job profile or not, right? It's a whole big task. Like they need to open it up, make a decision, and do this thing. Now, nowadays in advanced HR systems, AI is making this task completely easily over here. Okay, now what we can build is we can build one agent for that. That okay, HR can simply upload their attachments or maybe resume files that they are getting. Okay, and behind the scene, they don't need to even type this prompt every time that analyze this and do this entire thing for me. We should create some sort of system which is like a resume analyzer or CV analyzer, right? So what happen here is when they prompt like, okay, I want to analyze this candidate profile. So at the time it will ask them that okay, upload your profile. So they upload the profile and basically it just do analysis and tell them that okay, whether this profile is good for your job profile or not, and if so, like what would be the detailing around that. Okay, you can do n level of customization over here. Just imagine, this is very useful on the legal systems as well. So many legal companies are getting lots of contracts, right? Sometimes they need to verify some of the things into the contract, like okay, make sure the contractor is having the proper due date set, make sure the contract is having the legal favor in terms of our company, make sure that there is no negative impact in the contract, or maybe making sure that okay, if contract is breaking, there is no much penalty rules, right? This is something we have in a mind, which usually we check as a human when we are reading the any content from the document, images, or text, right? Sometimes, many times, imagine a company who is, let's say for an example, let's take the recent example of, many movie agencies. Like whenever a new movies are releasing, their PR are working on the Twitter, Instagram marketing side of thing, right? So let's say for an example, they want to analyze that, okay, for this particular movie, let's say for an example, what kind of feedback I'm getting into. I wanted to know, analyze the sentiment of the people. It's something that I cannot analyze, and maybe many news reporters nowadays are using this technology. If you look at the popular channels, specifically like Ashtak and all, they are nowadays using the AI to analyze the your social media data, and based on that they make the predictive decision that okay, what is being used versus what is the sentiment, and based on that what can happen, right? So based on that you can make a many different system. Like let's say for an example, I'm running my own training company, right? So maybe if I want that okay, I'm creating any feedback system, every after every class we are sending the feedback form to everyone, right? So let's say for an example, I wanted to build something like, okay, um, when I get any kind of feedback, maybe I wanted to check the sentiment that, okay, whether my students are happy or unhappy, or do they have any concern, or do they have any issues. Maybe I don't have a time to read each and every response, but at least what I want to do to improve my customer service is, okay, if I'm getting any negative feedback, my model should automatically define that, okay, this is a negative response, or this is where user is not feeling happy about. So immediately the model will uh, trigger some notification or automatically draft some email and tell them that okay, we hear your concern, maybe we will connect you in some hours, right? This kind of use cases we can solve with the help of prompt engineering. And For that, the good part is so far with the Copilot agent, like whichever agent we build, right? So far, right? When we look at this particular thing like orchestration and response model, right? So in response model, you can see that GPT-4o model is being used by default for the Copilot Studio agent. Here, there is no such capability that you can use your own custom model that you published on your Azure AI Foundry and all. But the prompt concept that I'm talking about, it also allows, let's say for an example, not only just GPT models by OpenAI, but let's say if you are having any DeepSeek model published, or maybe in Azure AI Foundry you created some meta model, or maybe Google's Gemini model, and you have built something on top of that, and you want to utilize that model within the Copilot Studio, that capabilities will be also be available over here with the prompt. Okay, now let's try to explore and see this thing in detail, that how this overall prompt concept is going to work. Okay, so first use case that I'm going to do is we'll simply create the prompt first, because I believe like prompt is something we are dealing for the very first time in the Copilot Studio. I'm not sure if anyone has used in the AI builder part, but we will start it from the scratch because a couple of concepts we fairly need to understand over there. After that, we'll just taste it with simple sort of topic and all, and see how what kind of result I'm getting into. Okay, and then we will create one second use case which is completely autonomous agent, which will read the data from your Microsoft form, parse it, and do the feedback, and we'll do the complex conditioning as well onto that. Okay, so let's get start that particular journey. So here I am on my solution, and let's start creating a new agent from the scratch. So I'm just creating new agent over here, and this time I'm providing my agent name is or CV analyzer, or maybe resume analyzer, because I just wanted to create it for my HR. So I'm just providing my name of the agent is HR resume analyzer. Okay, let's provide some sort of description over here. You need to act as company HR. Your task is to analyze the profiles provided by company HR and make a decision whether this profile suits for the company, and make a summary of the profile. I'm just giving some sort of basic instruction that what it need to do. Simply clicking on create to create your agent from the scratch. Okay, and now we will see the power of prompt over here. Okay, now what happen here is, like, generally what happen here is, like, whenever we are doing many times you have observed this scenario as well, even ChatGPT is lacking that particular feature. Now with ChatGPT right now, what is the common problem? Like, let's say for an example, here I analyze this profile, right? So I need to provide some prompt that, okay, what to do over there, right? Now, right now, there is no such option here in the chat GPT that I can save my prompt. And whenever I'm doing the similar kind of activity, I can utilize the same prompt and it will work exactly like that, right? In that case, what we need to do is, let's say for an example, I did write one very good prompt over here. Maybe I need to copy the prompt, or maybe if I have any previous chat experience, maybe I just need to maybe copy it from my previous chats and need to supply the same prompt over here and need to do that activity, right? So it's like sometimes very painful even in case of chat gpt, because sometimes we write a very good prompt and then we forget that, okay, what we have written to write that base prompt. So hopefully that feature will available soon in the chat gpt, like you can templatize your prompt. But Copilot Studio is one more level up from there. So what happened here is, here for repeating activity, like, okay, when someone is uploading a file over here, you know, what kind of activity that they need to perform from looking at that document, right? We can templatize it via some sort of prompt. Okay, and now let's see how we can start with that journey. There are multiple ways to create a prompt inside the Copilot Studio. I'll show you the different way of creating the prompt. Ultimately, the UI is the same, but there are different entry points for using which you can create prompt. Okay, so for that, simply go to the tools option. And again, it's a part of the tool, right? When we started the exploring the tool, I explained you that what your agent can do, that is something you can mention in the tool. You can add your own connector, you can add Power Automate, you can add MCP server, you can add prompt, one of them is prompt. So let's click on prompt over here. So you can click on prompt using this option. Number one entry point is this. Okay, if you don't want to create the tool from here, prompt from here, there is an option on the left navigation also available called tool. Okay, and again, like whatever prompt that you are creating, they are reusable, which means that if you create one prompt, you can utilize the same prompt at the multiple places. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm simply clicking on this. Over here as well, there is a tool option. And from that as well, you can start creating your own prompt over here. So you can create it from here, or maybe if you don't want to create it from here, you can go to your specific agent that you created, and from that as well, you can able to manage that out. Okay, so let's start now. Just a minute, where I did created that one. Did I actually created the agent or not? Just a minute. Maybe it just created my in my default environment. Not sure why. Just a minute. Let me just refresh my solution quickly. This is crazy. Just a minute. I'm just opening my solution. I think I just created that agent into the default environment. Don't worry. I just wanted to be very specific. So let's recreate it out. So there is no such confusion into that. Copilot Studio. Even the solution is not created. That's very strange. I'm in the correct environment. Okay, no problem. Copilot Studio class 09. Let's create. Click on new agent. Skip to configure. HR resume analyzer. I can simply copy that. You need to act as company HR. Your task is analyze the candidate profile and summarize it and making right decision for the company. Okay, now let's click on create. It will create the agent for you, and then we'll start creating the prompt into that. Okay, so to create the prompt, I am inside my Copilot agent at this point. I'm just simply going to the tools option and let's add a tool. Let's go to the new tool and use the prompt option. When you click on the prompt, it will show you this kind of screen to you. Okay, this is the common screen. Maybe if you are familiar with the specifically called AI builder, in the AI builder part as well, you can able to see the similar kind of prompt box. Okay, let me just show you that as well, so you will feel it properly. So maybe if any one of you have used the Power Apps specifically, and in Power Apps as well, you are having the AI hub behind the scene. AI hub, and when you look at your AI hub, this will provide you the capability to write out the different prompt and all. So over here as well, you are having the prompt option, and This is where as well you can write the prompt. It will do the exact same thing, but the thing is that when you are doing with the Copilot Studio, use the native Copilot over here itself. It's providing you the capability, but behind the scene engine is same. So never think that okay, that AI Builder one prompt is something which is different than this one. It's same. Okay, a behind the scene engine is the same to do the process. It's just a matter that which front end or maybe which technology you are using to call that particular prompt. Okay, so now I'm just providing the prompt name over here that okay, resume analyzer. Over here, as I said, you can choose the different model of the GPT. So currently they have provided three type of models over here: basic, standard, and premium. Three category they have divided with. And again, each one has its own billing cycle, which means that if you are using the premium O3 model, you will be charged more for utilizing that particular model. Okay, but let's just imagine like when to choose what kind of model and what are the different models available at this point. Okay, so you can see that at this point it's by default available as a GPT 4.1 mini model, and you are having standard model as GPT 4.0, a standard model as GPT 4.1. It's a paid preview at this point. And last is O3 model. So generally O3 model is something which is like a deep learning and more accuracy. You can use it out. And again, there is a link as well available over here where you can select your own model selection. So here it will give you the clear idea that, okay, what do they mean by that and what purpose of the each model. Again, this was my first AI class. I mean, in class number one itself, we talked about the different parameters of the GPT model, right? Like what kind of, how many parameters being trained for and what's the purpose of each kind of model. So here they clearly articulated. So whenever you are using GPT 4.1 mini or GPT 4.0, basically it is going to be useful for this purpose. So whenever you are having any kind of standard requirement. Okay, so again, here they just have this comparison, like cost comparison. Okay, so this is basic pricing, standard pricing, and premium pricing. Performance wise, good for most of the tasks. GPT-4 mini, uh, 4.0 and 4.1 is superior for the complex task. So if your agent or maybe if your prompt need to be perform so much complex task, you need to probably use this. And O3 is basically trained for reasoning task. So whenever you are having deep research or maybe deep reasoning it need to do or maybe deep thinking it need to do, you need to use O3 model. 4.1 mini faster processing. 4.0 and 4.1 take more time, maybe because of complexity, because it is designed to handle complex tasks, and basically it will take time to respond it to you. Okay, and O3 is slower because it's a reasoning model. So generally, even in the chat GPT, if you are using deep reasoning, so generally when you prompt it out today, even it is taking 4 to 5 minutes to render the whole response because it is doing lots of research, looking at lots of artifacts, lots of public resources, and then giving you the result. So same way over here as well, like O3 model is giving you more slower result, but again it's more deep reasoning, so we can understand it. Okay, now what is the use cases for each of the model? So when you are having any use case like summarization or information task or image or document processing, probably you can use 4.1 mini. 4.0 and 4.1 is image and document processing as well as complex content creation. At the time you can use this one. And O3 is specifically for data analysis and reasoning task and image and document processing. Okay, so this is the purpose of each particular model. Pricing we will talk about later on this session, so just wait for it. But again, these are the different models available at this point in the prompt. Okay, now let's say for an example, if you don't want to use any one of the prompts from here, and you want to use any of your custom model like from Azure AI Foundry, they now enable this option. This option is enabled from this month only. Earlier there was no such capability available. So now when you click on this plus button, let's say you don't want to use any one of this. Let's say if you want to use DeepSeek model, or let's say if you want to use Gemini model, which you have already built in your Azure AI Foundry. So that capability is now available. So let's say in Azure AI Foundry, you already have some model. So from there, you will find the deployment model name, your model number, your endpoint URL, API key, and description. And basically, once you provide that information, you will be able to utilize that particular model within your Copilot agent prompt itself. Okay, so now this capability is enabled, so you can leverage it if you want. But right now we are just using the basic stuff over here. Okay, so resume analyzer, this is the name I provided. Now, what kind of instruction do I need to provide over here to make the better prompt over here? Okay, so generally, as I said, my requirement, right? So I need to read the document from the content and need to act as a HR manager and need to summarize couple of things for me. Okay, so now you whatever instruction you want to provide here, you can just provide it over here, or it also provide you the option that, let's say, if you don't want to write out the prompt by your own, you can describe your prompt and click on this and it will create the prompt automatically for you. Okay, you can use that as well. So let's say if I'm saying that, okay, analyze resume or CV document and summarize and make a decision if a person is suitable for experience level profile. Okay, when you hit enter, it will start drafting a prompt for you. Okay, I'm just making a this and it will do this thing over here that you are tasked to analyze resume or CV file, blah, 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 carefully review this thing, exactly summarize this information, compare extracted information and create this thing. Output should be looking like this. Okay, it created that entire thing for you automatically over here. And basically, it just take the resume as a sample file as well over here. Okay, now it's up to you that whether you want to write use this prompt or maybe you want to write your own prompt. Okay, but at least if you don't know anything about the prompt engineering, this is also help you to write out the prompt. Even you don't need to use too much mind over here. Okay, but here I'm not using this prompt. I will use the specified prompt. Okay, but the functionality is there. You can club and play, but I just wanted to be very specific around this particular thing. Okay, and based on your need, you can choose the appropriate thing. And again, like the one task that we are performing right now, we are not doing any complex task over here. We are just like analyzing our text file and making some decision. Like it's not very complex task, right? So we can use with the base model. That's totally fine. So let's start writing some prompt over here. So I'm just writing here that read the content from the file. Now, what happen here is like, let's say for an example, in your prompt, whenever you need to provide some input, it is an option available over here, like add content. Okay. So over here you can provide the parameter that, okay, at this point first you need to look at your document, so just provide image or document. So it created that variable for you. Okay, and what it will do is it will read the content from this document input. So whatever you will upload via Copilot agent, it will be supplied over here and then it will perform the next set of tasks. Okay, let's say for an example, if you are not doing any document input and if you are just having like paragraph or string, maybe you can add some sort of text input as well if you want. Okay, so it's totally up to you that how you are planning to have your content over here. Okay, so now what I'm doing here is let me start drafting it from scratch. So I'm just copying one of the prompt over here which I already prepared for this class. Okay, so read the content from the document. So here I'm just adding my document input and act as HR manager. You need to find out the information in below fashion: first name, last name, education, and their total experience, email address, and current job role. From the overall resume, I need mainly this information. Also, based on their experience, you need to judge and tell us if this profile fit based for our organization's senior developer position or not. Also, highlight the best part of this resume and weak part of the resume. Okay, you need to make as a summary. So I don't need to read every profile one by one every time by my own. Okay. This will do that task easily for me. All right. So this is what I want. So this is what you provided as your prompt, and this is what its output. Output should be your text format, like whatever decision will be, you will be able to see it over there. Okay. Now, if you want to taste anything over here, what you need to do is, wherever you supply this template over here, right? Click on that, and there is an option, upload an image or documents, upload any sample document. So let's say I'm uploading any of the profile over here at this point. Okay, click on close and click on taste button. Now what happen is when you click on the taste button, it will start analyzing this file, and at least it will show you the result over here. That okay, first name Shivam, last name Gupta, education be this one, total experience this one, email address this one, uh, job specialty is this one, assessment. Now it did the assessment as well, that okay, Shivam has nearly 6 years of experience and specializing in this technologies. He held the roles including senior software developer, blah blah blah, and relevant certification as well. His current role is this one. Okay, and then it just make a decision that based on his experience, technical skills, certification, and demonstration achievement, Shivam Gupta is well suited for the senior developer position in your organization. It make as a positive response here. And what is the base part and what is the weak part, it cover up that as well. I'm pretty much happy with the prompt that I have provided, and the response that I'm getting from it. Very nice. Okay, so I'm good with that. But let's say at this point, if you're not happy with your prompt, or if you wanted to see some more result around that, maybe you can change the prompt over here and retest it and all. Okay, at any point of time you can change your prompt and you can test around that as well. Okay, anytime. It's not necessary that it's only one time process. Okay, now once you are happy with the stuff, you need to simply clicking on save button to save your prompt. Okay, so I'm just clicking on save button, and it just saving your result. Let it to be. Okay, perfect. So it's done. Now once you add your tool, okay, next step is you need to configure your tool. Okay, now there are three options over here: add to agent, add or configure, and cancel. Okay, you can add anything like, okay, add to the agent. Okay, or maybe even if you close this out, that is fine. Okay, changes may not, we need to save, don't leave. Let's click on add to agent over here quickly. Okay, so you just need to add your tool, let it to be. And here I am. My tool has been added successfully over here in this HR resume analyzer agent. Okay. Now you can just click on that. Okay. And here you can see that it's taking the dynamic with AI. So basically it will accept the file over here and will give you the result. So your tool is ready over here. All right. With the prompt. Now what I'm doing here is I'm not right now creating any kind of autonomous activity and all. I'm just creating one topic quickly. So just going to the topic, add a topic, create it from the blank, and I'm just providing some sort of trigger condition over here when, so I'm just providing some of the things over there when someone asks you, ask for resume or CV analysis, please ask them to upload a file. Okay, so it's totally up to you, like how you are writing your stuff. Okay, so simply, or maybe you can just simply make it simple. When someone asks for resume or CV analysis, please ask them to upload, or maybe this topic, we can change it. Simply click on edit. Okay. You can simply write like this as well. This topic is used to analyze any CV or resume profile. Okay, so when someone is asking around this, you can just trigger this particular stuff. Okay, all right. So it will trigger this thing. Okay, now what I'm doing here is when someone is asking for this, maybe I will ask them to upload a file. So I'm just adding one question over here. So let's ask a question that please upload a resume file, and we can take the data type over here as a file data type. So I'm just taking the file. Okay, and you can store your file somewhere in, you can rename your variable if you want. So I'm just renaming my variable as variable file. Okay, perfect. And then next, what I want to do here is I want to now call my tool to see what kind of summary it can generate for me. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I just click on plus button, and you can just go to the topic here, like add a tool. And as soon as you do add a tool, you can see resume analyzer tool is already available here. So just click on that resume analyzer. So it will call that tool. And first thing is that you need to supply one input parameter here, that okay, what document you want your prompt to analyze, right? Which you are already getting from the above question. So click on these three dots over here, and you already having your file. So supply your file over here, and output, whatever output it is generating, let's store that output in some of the variable. So click on select a variable, and let's create a new variable over here. So I'm clicking on new variable, and let's provide the name of the variable as variable summary response. So we are getting that response from this action. And finally, at the end, we will just print it over here. Right now, I'm not sending any email or anything over there, but you can achieve anything that we have done so far in all the previous classes. Okay, but the purpose is first to understand this whole stuff. Okay, let's click on save here. Let's provide the name of the topic. So I'm just providing the topic name is resume or CV analyzer analysis. Okay, let's click on save. Okay, so I'm just having this perfectly saved, looks good to me, and this is my agent looks like at this point. All right, now let's taste this thing over here. Okay, so let's say I'm just start making some prompt over here that I want to analyze resume. Let's click on this box and turn on the track between the topic as well. So it will understand that okay, what exactly it triggered over here. You will be able to understand that as well. Let me just restart it from the scratch. All right, it just triggered this and help me to summarize the CV. Okay, then it is just saying me that please provide the document input that you would like to analyze. Okay, and over here you can see that I have this resume analyzer AI plugin over here. Okay, so right now it just triggering based on the description that we just provided. Based on that, this AI make a decision to call that resume analyzer over here for ourselves. Okay, even let's say for an example, we have written the topic as well over here called resume or CV analysis, right? And it should probably trigger this topic as well. But here right now it's just prompting now for the document to analyze. Okay, so right now let me just upload a document. So I'm just uploading the file over here. This is the file. Let's see what it is doing over here. Okay, right now it's just throwing me an error that this was not accepted in the proper document format and all and blah blah blah. All these error it is saying to me. Okay, why it is throwing me this error right now? Because the thing is that right now what we have done is specifically over here, we turned on our generative AI orchestration. Okay, and the way generative AI orchestration is working is based on the content that you provide over here. Based on that, it is just making the decision by its own that okay, whether it need to call an appropriate tool action or it need to call any kind of topic or whatnot. So basically, it is just making that decision by its own. That's why directly calling this tool, and basically we are just getting this kind of problem. Okay, now what you can do here is to avoid this situation. Okay, I mean not in just only this scenario, but let's say for any future scenario as well, if you just want that okay, your generative AI directly not calling the tool because we have proper topic created for it, right? So maybe you can just disable this out. Okay, so what happen here is when you turn this off, at the time what happen here is randomly it will not try to call this resume analyzer anytime. Okay, what it will do is when you make any prompt, it will go to the appropriate topic because when we call any particular topic, there is a functionality in the topic that okay, when you do resume or file CV analysis, over here it is asking the file upload, and when you supply the file, basically it will parse that file into proper fashion in the prompt and it will supply. So, to avoid those situations, you can turn that off temporarily and now you can try it out again. Now, what happened is in this situation, now we turned off that thing. So your generative AI probably not looking for the tool directly. Instead of that, it will look at the topic and from that topic, it will just try to do this whole stuff. Okay, so now let me just do again, analyze the resume profile. Okay, and now you can see clearly in the debug, it is calling the appropriate topic over here. Now over here, what you need to do, simply upload a file. So let's say I'm just uploading one of the file for this candidate, Aryan. Okay, let's say I'm uploading this. I'm just hit enter over here and basically it just get that file. And now it is triggering this whole stuff and giving me this whole detail over here, right? Like Aryan, last name, his education, total experience, email, current job role, and what it is make a decision is this profile is not fit for a senior position. The candidate is having a first year student specializing in digital marketing with the internship experience in sales, and there is no indication of software development skills or relevant experience, right? Because we supplied that thing in the prompt. So basically this is what it make as a decision. What's the good part of the profile? What's the weak part of the profile? It's just showing me this. Okay. Now let me show you the samples that I'm just trying over here, like what kind of formats it is having. Okay, so you will get an idea around that as well, and you can check as well that okay whether these profiles are proper or not. So this is one resume profile I have. Again, like a very basic profile, like a very fresher level profile. It has one pager profile is there. Okay, this is my own profile I do have with all my experiences and whatever work I have done and so far. So this is one of my resume profile, and I have one another candidate profile called Shivam, and again it's like a mid-level developer, again like a good experience and all. Okay, now whenever you try, I mean, uh, whenever we are trying with, the appropriate one, it should show the appropriate data according to the profile that you are uploading over here. Okay, now let me just rephrase this again. And now again, like, let me just do again, analyze this CV profile. Okay, and now it will just ask me to upload the file again. And now I'm just uploading one file. So let's say now uploading my own file over here. And let's see whether I am eligible for the position or not. Okay, so I'm just uploading my profile. Will take some time because it's just calling that overall prompt which we have sit in behind the scene, and basically it generated this whole formatted output for us, like education, my experience, my current profile, and what does it make, the 10 years of experience and blah blah blah, and uh, beyond development including the stuff. So it all has the base part, weak part that they mentioned, and summary, it's something which created. Okay, and this is exactly what I wanted to have it over here. Okay, now it's totally up to you, like what level, what next level you want to expand this agent, whether you add one more action over here that send this information via email, or maybe auto reply to the candidate that okay, you are fit into our need, we will contact you within some period of time, or whatever level of customization. Like, you have endless capability now, you can add some more instruction over here, you can make that happen. Or maybe if your company has a dedicated mailbox, if you want your mailbox to be connected here, you can just make it as an autonomous trigger. When any new emails arise from your profile, just grab that file over here, pass it to the prompt builder, and you utilize this whole stuff for you. Okay, so this is what the typical concept of prompt is looking like into the Copilot Studio. Okay, this is one simple theoretical example we have done so far. I mean, just to cover up the mainly the capability of the prompt, that what kind of thing you can do it. That prompt you can integrate with your topic, or you can make it completely autonomous. It's totally up to you. Okay. Now, one more thing, the prompt that we use so far, right? So that prompt is available over here. I mean, even at your agent level, it is available. So let's say for an example, this is my HR resume analyzer agent. Okay. And I have this agent. If you go to the tool section, it is available here. Okay. Apart from that, whatever prompt that you will create, it will available at your environment level as well. So let's say this is your environment, batch 23 development environment. Whenever you create any prompt, you can reutilize this prompt at the multiple agent. So let's say today you created this HR resume agent, right? Now tomorrow, let's say you are having another agent which is doing some other activity, and in that as well you wanted to utilize this same resume analyzer capability. Or maybe let's say in the Power Platform, in the future you want to utilize the same prompt for your Power Automate, or same prompt for your Power App. Over there as well you can reutilize, because whenever you build a prompt, it will by default sit at your environment level. And there is an option over here as well, that okay, whenever you click on that particular tool, okay, this is where you can see your prompt. Okay, and there is an option over here when you click on add button over here. Okay, when you click on add button, basically there is an option provided here that okay, apart from this, in which other agent you want to reutilize, you just need to provide some description that okay, this is useful for resume or CV analysis. Okay, and let's say for an example, if I just want to utilize the same one for my other agent like auto refund Reliance, I can add that, and this will be reutilized over there as well. Okay, so it's totally up to us that where we want to utilize this agent. Okay, and one more place, let me just open up this whole Power Apps thing, and let me just open up the same environment where we have this Copilot Studio over there. Okay, and if you go to the prompt option over here, the same prompt will be available over here as well. Okay, so let's say if you want to utilize the same prompt to your Power Automate to do that activity, you can use that as well. Okay, it's not just limited to Copilot, but available at your entire Power Platform level. So sometimes you want to achieve a use case in your Power Automate that, okay, uh, when someone sends you an email, analyze that whole file, create a summary for it, send it back to them. You can probably utilize this model. But the only thing is about licensing. So when you utilize this into your Power Apps and Power Automate, it use the different licensing. And when you use that in your Copilot Studio, it is using different licensing. So that's something I'm going to talk about in a while. Okay, but this is all about the power of prompting that you are getting with the Copilot Studio. Okay, not just limited to GPT model, but any AI Foundry model as well, like DeepSeek or Gemini or Meta model. If you want to utilize, you can utilize that as well if you want. But this is like overall idea about the prompts into the world of Copilot Studio. Okay, now we will go with one more level up. From here, we will take another example of autonomous trigger based, completely trigger based um, prompt action to do the sentiment analysis on our data. So we'll talk about that in detail. But before that, I would like to pause here for a moment. Licensing, just park it. That's something I'm going to talk about after that particular use case. But apart from that, at least with respect to prompt, if you have any question like why we are using this prompt, what are the use cases, you can solve it. Maybe just ask the question if you are having any, or maybe if not, maybe just give me some reactions that at least everyone is following with me so far. Okay, I would like to pause here for a moment. Anyone has any question? So I can see raise hand from Sagar. You have question?
Yeah, hi Dhruvin. Regarding only in license version we will get the option prompt.
Sorry, what you are saying?
Prompt, prompt. We don't have
Yes,
any access in trial version. Only we get the access in license only.
trial as well. You can able to try that out. There is no restriction into that.
Okay, just now.
Trial, at least you can try it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I checked just now. So that's why I asked. Okay, yeah. Once I will check. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, perfect. Next, I can see Rezen from Anand. You have a question.
Yeah, Dhruvin, I think so. My question is not related directly to this. It's just kind of practice what I was doing. So, any existing cloud flow in my Power Automate, and I'm creating a chatbot. Can I use as in like add a tool and use the existing cloud flow, or
Yes,
the cloud flow should be created from here?
you can use any existing Cloudflow as well if you want. Only thing is that when you are utilizing any your existing Power Automate, you need to convert into the agent flow basically. So there is one switch available that you want to utilize it from your Copilot agent, but the functionality is available that you can utilize it out. I have a dedicated session on that, probably next to next session, agent flow session. At the time, we'll talk about that in detail, like what's the difference between Power Automate
Okay.
and what you do within the Copilot agent. What's the difference in between that?
Yeah,
Especially the
actually.
licensing difference is there, probably mostly.
Yeah, actually what happens is like when the drop down happens that existing flow doesn't shows up. So it was kind of a doubt for me that if I have a project which is already created in a Power Automate cloud and desktop, and then someone comes and asks me to make an agent on it, so what I have to do all things from the scratch or what? So if
So it
there is a
depend. I
something,
mean, it's depend again, like in many different cases. Like let's say for an example, if your trigger is getting changed, then of course you need to recreate the whole thing. But in case of, let's say for an example, your trigger is the same, then probably you can reutilize the same thing if you want. Most of the time, if you want to call your existing Power Automate within the Copilot agent, it should be like your manual trigger flow most of the time, not like any automated trigger, because your any existing flow that you are talking about, obviously you will supply some parameters from your agent to call that or maybe perform that whole execution to be successful. So at the time, mostly you are using the manual trigger flows, but sometimes again we need to change that a little bit. So generally, I
yeah,
would
the
prefer.
head part,
Yes,
the
yes, you need
trigger
to
part.
change it. Yes, you need to change it because this one is always supporting that, okay, if the input is coming from your agent, that trigger is different than your how your manual triggers are set up in the existing Power Automate. So to support that, you need to change it, you need to tweak it, and then you can reuse. But reusability is still there. I mean, you can utilize if you want. Uh, but again, for this one, I would say mostly I will talk about that in the upcoming class. But I would say like create it from here. Like don't try to make it like because obviously you can't use the 100% as is. You need to make a change, and you want
Yeah.
multiple systems to be work in parallel in a proper fashion. So it's always advisable to create a separate one rather than the reuse, or maybe just copy paste the thing and make it happen. That would be my solution most of the time. But there are many difference in that both the
Copy
way. I
paste,
mean,
right? Okay.
yeah, you
So
can copy
copy paste
paste
the
that.
required steps.
Yes, exactly. You
Yeah.
can copy paste the required step, or maybe you can just save as the version. You reuse that, delete the trigger, reconfigure it. Many different options are there. Okay.
Ravin, can you click on add a tool once? I want to understand one thing. Add a
Yep.
tool. Yeah. So your connector section is there, right? The second section connector.
Yes.
Your custom connectors also can be configured.
Yes. Yeah, so look, don't confuse with this option. This is like they created this UI, but not like perfect. They forget to add some of the option here. So when you go to the new tool here, see custom connector is there. So you can of course add your custom connector over here. So of course in my next class on Monday, we are going to talk about custom connector in detail.
Okay.
So
Okay.
all these things you can see one by one we are going. So today's class is all about prompt. Next class is
Wow.
all about custom connector. Then we'll go agent flow
Okay.
in then we go MCP, everything one by one because each topic is very vast one. That's why. Okay.
Actually, just I'm telling about because wherever the gateways are getting used, gateways and the APIs, that part is confusing me in my day-to-day work. So as you told that you will be covering in the next, so the gateways are also covered,
No,
gateways
gateway,
connect.
I don't have any example for gateways because I mean for Copilot Studio, I really don't see any solid use cases around gateway perfectly because we last time tried that Azure SQL, which is worst as an experience. So I mean, at this point, even in the real industry world as well, never used Gateway with Copilot so far. But yeah, the capability is there. I mean, the way you are connecting, I mean, knowledge source as a knowledge source, of course, you can't. But let's say if you are calling the Power Automate, again, it's same how you call the on-premise connectors with Power Automate using Gateway, the exact same way it will work. So
Okay,
ultimately, it
yeah.
will be there. Yeah.
So means like go to Power Automate, make that thing and call over here. That will be a
I
good
that
feature.
would be the better solution rather than
Yeah.
connecting as a knowledge source is not supported. I mean, I
Yeah.
haven't seen any on-premise apart from SQL, and SQL is like a again worst experience. Even with the cloud version, it's worse. So I'm not thinking about to utilize for even on-premise one.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Anyone else has any other question before we move forward with the next example? Or maybe just give me some reaction so far, like at least what is prompt, how to utilize that in your Power Automate. That part is clear for everyone. Maybe just hit thumbs up so at least I understand everyone is following with me so far. Okay, perfect. All right. Now we'll go one more level up from here where we'll talk about another case study. Now, this case study is completely for the autonomous agent. Okay. And what's the case study? Let me just bring that up on the screen in front of everyone. Just a minute. Okay. So now we will create a automatic feedback copilot. Okay. Now, as I said, like, many people have this kind of requirement where they are collecting the feedback from the different system. In this one, I'm taking the Microsoft form as a feedback uh, front end. Like, okay, I'll get something from your Microsoft form. Let's say review feedback. Let's consider our trainings example itself. You just add name, email, and your feedback and just send it to me. Okay. Now, what I want here is as soon as you provide me the feedback, I really want to understand what's your context is. I want to find out the sentiment of your, like whether it's a positive or it's neutral or it's a negative feedback. Okay. And based on that, I want to make a decision that, okay, if it is a negative feedback, then I need to immediately respond to the people. But if it is positive feedback, I can just say like, okay, thanks, or maybe even if I don't reply, that is fine. Okay. But I want to manage it out. Now, just imagine this use case can be extended to any kind of level. Now, just consider any hospitals who are having the patient feedback, or just imagine any of your customer service where you are using within the dynamics, or maybe if you are using it in your power apps or anywhere, any feedback system can be integrated with this type of autonomous agent, where agent will do this whole activity via custom prompt and make that complete thing for us. Okay, so now let's see and check how we can completely able to do this activity over here. Okay, so let's start that journey over here. So what I'm doing now is specifically, let's go here and let's create one more agent from scratch. New agent. And let me just make sure I'm creating in the right environment. Yes. Okay, skip to configure. I'm just providing my agent name is feedback copilot 1.0, and I'm just providing some description that your feedback analyzer agent, your task is to analyze the feedback tone and take the appropriate action based on that. Let's click on create. We'll always provide the instruction after we are done with all the activities. Okay, now let me show you my feedback form that I have here. Okay, so for that, what I'm doing is I'm simply opening my form. Okay, and this is the form I do have, event feedback. Okay, name, email, and feedback. So whatever feedback you have, you just need to provide your valuable feedback over here. Okay, so this is open-ended Microsoft form. Okay, and it is accessible anonymously as well. We'll test it at the end, so anyone can respond, so they can fill the form and do the whole stuff. Okay, now what I want here is I want to completely manage it out for myself. Okay, so first of all, what I'll do here is my mind should tell me that I want to do the sentiment analysis over here. Based on the analysis of the sentiment or context of the sentiment, if it is a negative feedback, I want to respond to the user. This is two things I wanted to do. Okay. So what I'll do here is this kind of analysis whenever we want to do for any kind of activity, again, we need to follow certain rules that, okay, what kind of sentiment you want to analyze, like positive, negative, neutral, or maybe you have more sentiment types which you want from your content to analyze. Okay, so and maybe for this sentiment analysis, maybe it's possible that you have your own custom model which is hosted on the AI Foundry or something, or maybe you just don't want to utilize the GPT model, but instead of that, let's say you wanted to use Google Gemini model to do your sentiment analysis, right? Let's create a custom prompt for that. And again, this time we will simply try to create the prompt directly outside, like tools option, or maybe you can go into agent and create it from there as well. But this time I'm just creating outside, so you will feel that experience as well. Click on new tool, click on prompt, and now let's create a prompt for that. So I'm just providing over here my prompt name as sentiment analyze and auto reply. Okay, so I'm just provide here the name as find sentiment. Okay, now whenever you are using this box over here to write out your whole custom prompt, okay, let me tell you, over here it is providing some ready-made template as well if you want to use. So if you look at this thing, prompt template, okay, when you click on prompt template, it is providing you so many ready-made template, so you don't need to even write anything by your own. Okay, so let's say here as well, let's search for sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis, run sentiment analysis on the text. Okay, so when you do that, it just write the prompt by your own, that evaluate the sentiment for the given text, taking into the account its emotional tone, subtle language, and cultural or contextual factor. Classify the tone of the text into positive, negative, and neutral. Look for the sarcasm emotions, and specialized terminology that could affect the sentiment trading. In case of mixed emotions, identify the most dominant sentiment, analyze the neutral phrases that may have positive or negative undertone, and gauge the message urgency and significance. Your response may only be in one word and should capitalize the first letter. Do not add any other explanation. Okay, it's a ready-made prompt. I mean, it's still good, right? Now, let me just tell you one more stuff here that of course you provided this prompt. Let me just delete this thing. Let me just open the prompt template again. Okay. Now, the main purpose of this exercise, why I'm showing this thing to you. Okay. It is doing much more than you imagine here. Okay. Like, let's say for an example, if you don't have any particular clue, like how to write a better prompt or anything, right? You can just utilize this thing. Maybe just try this out when you are doing the practice. Maybe, if you just want to see summarized text. So see how it writed that how it has written this prompt, right? That will give you an idea that how you can make a better prompt by your own. I would say still rather than depending on completely on AI to write out your prompt, at least utilize some sort of your mind as well. If you start writing the prompt completely with AI, you are completely be depending on that. Okay, so try to, and again, like I have seen that sometimes even human prompts are better than the AI prompt because AI can think at certain limit, but as a human you can think as an endless capability. Okay, so try to write out by your own, but again you can have this option. Okay, so try to explore this prompt library if you want, and again they have created like different prompts, so many out of the box prompts. So let's say if you are in marketing and if you want to summarize anything, you know you have this summarize the negative customer feedback on the social media platform, highlighting the main concept and praises. Okay, and just created the prompt completely automatically for you. Okay, so again, like it's totally up to you that how you wanted to have it over here. All right, now let's just write out our prompt. Again, we will just use the ready-made prompt this time. So I will again use the sentiment analysis on the text. And again, let's say if you don't know how to write an input text and all, just click on add content, and when you add this, it will just add this thing for you. Okay. Now I'm just removing this thing over here because I just don't want to do any unnecessary thing over here. Okay. And I'll just make some of the context change over here because we are we are not just copy and pasting the exact same prompt. We just need to uh, change it a little bit so that it understands that okay, in which language we are talking about. Okay, so evaluate the sentiment of the given text taking into account its emotional tone, subtle language, or cultural or contextual factor. This is the feedback which our customers are sending us as a part of process. Classify the tone of the text into categories positive, negative, neutral. Look, this is all fine looks to me. Okay, I think I'm pretty much good with this. Okay, so I'm just keeping this prompt as is now. And now if you just want to taste this prompt again, you maybe what you can do is there is an option taste, and over here input text is provided. Maybe I'm just doing one thing here. I'm just providing some sample data. Great class going so far. Okay, I'm just adding this thing. Okay, as an input, and now let's test this out and see whether this sentiment analysis is working or not. So yes, it's positive feedback, so looks good to me. Okay, let me try some negative statement over here. Okay, so I'm just providing here that it's very hard to understand the physics concept, and let's see what it come up with. If I'm just clicking on taste, it's saying that okay, it's a negative sentiment, right? So it's just giving me the response into this fashion. Okay, looks good to me. I'm just clicking on save now, and now save this prompt. It's saved. Let's click on tools again and let's see whether it's available over here or not. Let's refresh the screen. Okay, and here I am. My sentiment analysis one is available over here. All right. Now, if you want to utilize into your agent, click on the tool. Okay, and there is an option add. Click on that, and let's provide the description here that perform sentiment analysis. Okay, and I'm just providing that into my feedback copilot 1.0. Click on add, and it will add that tool into our agent. So now if I'm going to my agent, this is my feedback copilot 1.0. I'm going here and underneath tools, I will be having that available find sentiment. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. All right. Now the thing is that this time I want to make it like a complete autonomous, no human involvement. What I want here is now with this, I want to configure a trigger as well. That okay, when people are sending the Microsoft form data, I wanted to do this whole analysis over here. Okay, so let's add a trigger here. Add a trigger. When a new response is submitted in Microsoft form, let's use this trigger. Click on next. As soon as you do this activity, you can just rename your trigger feedback form submission. Okay. And now let's click on next. Here you need to provide your form ID. So what this form ID is doing is it will show your all the forms available into this environment. So my form is event feedback data. This is the form. So I'm selecting my form and click on create trigger. So this will add a trigger within the agent. Let it to be. Okay, so time to test your trigger. Perfect. Click on close and it has added this trigger over here for me. Feedback form submission. When a new form is submitted, I want to call this trigger. Okay. Now, one more thing, as I explained you previously as well, that whenever you are adding a trigger behind the scene, it just create a Power Automate flow for you. Okay, so simply here as well, now we need to do some customization, guys. Okay, why? I'm going to show you in a while. Okay, so let's click on Edit in Power Automate. So that will open your Power Automate flow over here. Let it to be open. Okay. Now earlier someone asked me the question that okay, in between that if I want to add something over here, can I add that? Of course, you can add that out. Okay. And many times we need to do that as well. Let me tell you why. This is the perfect use case for that. Now the thing is that when someone is literally filling the form over here, let's say let me fill this form over here. Okay. So I'm just going over here like a collect response. I'm just copy this URL and I'm just opening my window and copy this link, paste this up, and I'm opening the form. Okay. Now let's say I'm just adding like my name, my email address. Okay. And I'm just making like excellent learning material. Okay. I'm just providing this kind of feedback to this event. Okay. I'm just clicking on submit at this point. So as per the principle, what happens is your agent will at least start getting triggered. Okay, so let's go here. And when you look at this thing, you see it start getting triggering. Okay, now click on start triggering over here. Okay, as soon as you start trigger this thing. Okay, behind the scene, if you look at your Power Automate flow over here, it is also getting triggered over here. So when you look at this thing out, okay, it's getting triggered. All right. Now, sometimes it is giving you this kind of error messages. Don't worry about the last error message that you are getting over here if your flow is throwing the error at this point, because this is one recent Microsoft bug that earlier it was not there. From recent some days they started throwing the error, but actually it's not an error, it's still processing as expected. That's what Microsoft support person has confirmed with me around a week ago. So they are still working on that for that fix. So over here, if you're seeing this kind of error message, like response is not in a valid JSON format, you don't need to worry about that. You can simply ignore it out. Still your agent will work as expected. Okay, it's minor bug from Microsoft side. Okay, now over here, let me just talk about this thing over here. Now, the thing is that, when you have this trigger, right, when a new response is submitted, we know that in Power Automate, it will always give you the data in this kind of JSON format, right? Now, the thing is that this data is not always useful for your agent to consume, right? Now, let's say for an example, right now you see when a new response is submitted, you just get this kind of response. But I did not see any kind of message over here. I cannot see any kind of name, email address, those things over here available, right? So what I need to do is, because my agent will be able to process and analyze and do the sentiment analysis when I supply the proper message to that, right? But this trigger is not giving any such result to me. And why? Because this trigger doesn't have that response available in the Power Automate. Now, in Power Automate, if you work with the Microsoft form, there is an action available called when a new response is submitted. Generally, we are adding one more action after that. That okay, get the response data from it, and that response data is something which is more relevant to your form data, and that's something you can pass it to your model, and it will do the sentiment analysis and will do the whole activity for you. Okay, so there is a need that okay, I cannot pass the same response that I'm getting over here. I obviously need to modify this, and probably instead of this body response that I'm getting from the trigger, in between that I add some step, and only those relevant data I am supplying to my agent back, it will give me the more proper result. Okay, so that's something you need to do here now. So what we will do now is simply add one more action over here in the Power Automate. I'll search for Microsoft Form, and people who has attended my Power Automate classes, maybe I had the similar example over there as well at that time. But at the time, the idea is nothing to send back to the Copilot agent. It's just like you utilize into that. But here, like when a new form response is submitted, we need to get the response detail from the trigger. So obviously, that's the reason I said like little bit Power Automate knowledge is also required when you are doing with this kind of Copilot agent, because ultimately you use the trigger, but trigger is nothing but behind the scene a Power Automate flow. So here you can customize your stuff the way you want. So now here I'm again searching for my event form that I have, event feedback form, and let's pass the response ID from the top that is given by this trigger. So if you go to the dynamic content, here you will get the response ID. So you supply that response ID already here. So this is what you are getting over here. And now you just need to pass that whole string over here as a response to the user. Okay, so maybe what can I do here is I can take one variable, initialize variable, and I'm just providing that okay, variable response string. Okay, and I'm just making like a type as a string data type. Okay, and what I'm doing here is like in this loop, I'm just append this to string, append to string. This is again like some of the Power Automate action I'm using here, append to string variable. And what I'm doing here is like I'm getting the different values from the form, like name, email, and feedback, right? So let me just make as a this kind of JSON object over here in a string format. So I'm just making one key called name, and in name, I'm just printing this one like name column, then comma. I'm doing like a email. So double quote email. And in that, I'm just supplying it. There is no such rule that you always need to pass into this fashion, but generally it accepts the string. So create the string variable most of the time. Okay, email that I'm passing here, that's perfect. And last I want to pass here as feedback. And in feedback, I'm just supplying my feedback. Okay, perfect. That's it. And now at the end, instead of this body, I'm supplying that variable response string over here. Okay, and now let's save and publish this. Someone's mic is on. Make sure mic is turned off, please. Okay. So just a minute. Okay, so now I'm just publishing this flow and we are done. Okay, so this type of modification you need to do at the trigger level as well sometimes. Okay, if required. So this is one use case where it definitely required because trigger is not enough to provide the information that it need to be supplied for the future further analysis at the agent level. So we need to supply into this fashion. Okay, your trigger is just doing this activity. Now, next, your trigger is done, your stuff is done. Now you just need to, your sentiment analysis is also done, right? Now you need to just auto reply to the user, right? So I'm just adding one more tool to send an email. So let's use send email. Send an email. Click on add and configure. Okay, send an email. This operation send an email message for the feedback we received. Okay, and I'm just making everything dynamically because everything is coming from the form, and again AI will detect that thing, so I don't need to do any extra thing over here. Click on save simply. That's it. And maybe you can just change the action and send an email. Save it. Okay, so your another tool is added, send an email action. And now we will add one more stuff here, like uh sentiment analysis, send an email, and all good, perfect. Now the thing is that the main part come up here is, now I need to write an instruction here, like how this agent needs to behave now. Okay, so now let me just ask here as a question. Now, anyone want to try how, what kind of instruction should I write here? Anyone? I mean, because all the basic activity now we have done. Anyone help me to write the instruction now? Maybe I just unmute yourself. Or maybe just raise your hand. Just try it, guys. That's how, because it's nothing like any technical thing. It's just like how you are thinking now, all the elements you are having now. Now, how you will provide the instruction. Just imagine how you are treating this requirement. You need to explain to your junior developer how you are doing that. That's something you need to write here in simple language, layman word. Okay. Anyone want to try it? Come on. We are 23 people right now in this room. Okay, yeah, Anand, please go ahead.
Yeah. So Dhruvin, let me try on this. So instruction about what to follow, right? What are
Yes,
the steps to
yes,
follow, that thing,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So first instruction will be reading the form, uh,
Hmm.
reading the feedback form from. Can you scroll it down? Tools and what we have considered.
Yes, we are having two tools. Number one is one prompt for finding the sentiment. Second is
Sentiment and
send an email.
second
Okay, and this
email
is our trigger
and trigger.
from where we get the form data, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how you
So
start with? Yeah, go ahead.
first will be uh, validating the form data.
Okay, I'm just drafting here. Base your thing,
Okay.
validating form data. Okay, next.
Validating the form data. Second will be use that hyperlink of our
Yes,
tool.
to
Use
find the sentiment analysis.
find this,
This one.
yeah, sentimental analysis.
Okay.
Yeah. And third will be basis on the sentiment, the email will be sent out.
If the feedback is negative, for positive and
Yeah,
neutral, I don't want to do anything. Okay.
yeah, yeah. If the sentiment is negative, the basis in the sense basis. So basis is like if it is negative, send an email for the correction
Okay.
henceforth. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Looks good. Okay. Now we just need to polish this a little bit. Anyone else have any other thought on this instruction? Anyone want to try, Kritish? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe we can write like you are an expert in
Yes,
analyzing sentiment,
exactly.
and whenever someone submits a document, you need to
Mm.
extract name, email, or
Yep.
and then you need to remember name, email,
Yes.
because that will be useful in the next step. And
Yep.
after finding the sentiment, you need to understand if it is a negative sentiment. And if it is a negative sentiment, you need to send an email and you need to use the email which was extracted from the previous step.
Yep, absolutely 100% nailed it. This is exactly the prompt that I wanted you guys to write here. Okay, so now always remember one thing first, that the context, like how the agent need to behave. So I'm just writing first line over here like this way. Already you guys have given me the answer. That's great. So everyone followed the class, I believe. So you are a feedback analyzer agent. Your task is to analyze and provide the feedback tone. Need to automatically send reply to the person, and you need to execute the following statement. Always for autonomous agent, whenever you start, first statement should be your problem statement, that how this agent, what you are. You need to explain the role to the agent and need to just tell them to follow this task. Okay. Now, first task, as you said, like, okay, when submit the form using Microsoft Form, you will get the feedback from that. So I'm just polishing this statement a little bit. So I'm just writing this first statement to like this. When someone submit the feedback using Microsoft Form, you will get the feedback name, email, and feedback values. Okay. Second thing, same way as Kirtish explained as well, like we can just send this feedback that we find in the previous statement to this find sentiment analysis action. Okay, so I'm just writing this in this fashion. Send the feedback to this one. You can copy this find sentiment tool or action, any word you can use. I would say use tool to analyze the tone of the feedback. Okay, and the third statement, based on the feedback based on the feedback email you need to send to the email person who submitted the feedback. Make sure email is well HTML formatted and casual. Now here I need to provide the action as well. And I just make this prompt a little bit better. Based on the feedback, based on the sentiment you received from step 2, you need to make below decision. Okay, then enter A. If the feedback sentiment is negative, then only send an email using send an email tool. And I can just make that statement to be common. Make sure email is well HTML formatted and casual, use friendly language, don't be harsh. Okay, so you can just provide that instruction. Second, B. if the feedback sentiment is positive or neutral, then don't do anything. Do not need to send any email notification. Okay, I'm just doing this. Perfect. So this is how you can extend. So in this class, we extended some more level. So this is how simply the way you are explaining to yourself, you just need to draft your prompt. Okay, now click on save. Perfect. And now what I'm doing here is I'm just go to the setting and I don't want my agent to be over smart. So I'm just turning off the general knowledge because here I don't have any knowledge source as well as I don't want my uh, agent to be like, be over smart over here by using any general knowledge. Simply provide this stuff and you are all done. I mean, based on that, it makes this whole decision over here. Okay. Now let's taste this thing out over here that how exactly it looks like. Okay. Can you see, Javid, you have any question on this prompt? You just raise your hand.
Tell me one thing, Ruvin. In freebie, do we have to put freebie or it's just like in programming, we don't need it?
I mean, it's something that, this is how I'm writing. I mean, there is no such like, uh, I mean, pattern that you need to always follow. It understand it completely. It's not like to be always A, B, C, or maybe even if you want to use 3A or 3B, if that is also fine. Okay.
No,
So,
no, no, no.
yeah, go ahead.
What I mean, Ruvin, I mean statement B. Like we
Yes.
said, if the sentiment is negative, then we do something,
Oh,
right?
yes.
The
If the
else part.
sentiment is negative, then only send the email. If the feedback sentiment is positive or neutral, don't need to do anything. So it will understand it automatically. I mean, no, it's not necessary that you should write like this. That okay, if else is that. I mean, you can write that prompt as well. That is also something you can do, but it's a natural language, so you can just make it full stop. You just don't want to be very specific that you can write it like a else, or there is no such
Mm.
any guideline that you need to follow that you need to always write it into this fashion or write it into this fashion. It can understand it automatically.
No,
Okay.
what I mean, Ruvin, let's say I did not put B at all. The whole statement I did not put. Would the agent, not the agent, the
It will not do
automate.
anything. It will not do. That's something I need to test. Okay. So let's see if I'm not making this statement, then what it will do, we need to check. Because we have
Okay.
written that, okay, don't send an email. I believe it will understand. It should be intelligent enough that we don't need to provide the second prompt. Probably. Let's try this. Okay. Let's save this. Okay. I cut that prompt. Okay, maybe I'll just be somewhere here. Okay, this is how you can experiment. I mean, there is no such because here we simply provide it, so probably it will understand it should work, I believe. But let's see when we test it how it will come up with the result. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Raj, you have any
Thanks.
question on the instruction part?
Yes, Ravi. So
Yes,
when you are providing the instructions, you are giving the name of the tool also in
yes,
that, right?
yes.
So with the underline statement, is that mandatory to mention that names,
Yes.
or are you just providing that?
No, it is they have not mentioned anywhere like in the document that it is compulsory. But let me tell you, based on my experience, I find this methodology, even if you look at some popular MVPs video as well, they are following the same pattern. And again, I had a conversation something around Microsoft product team. They are also saying that if you be more specific when you are providing the instruction with the exit name like your tool and all, at least
Mhm.
it is easy for agent to understand that what to call. So it's not necessary. If you do not provide it, what happen here is it will take some time to think that okay, you have two tools. Now what tool I need to call here, right? And that decision it will make based on this description that you are providing, that okay, find sentiment, what it is doing. It is performing
Mhm.
sentiment analysis, and then it will make a decision that okay, I need to do this thing now. But let's say when you be specific, your agent already know that it didn't need to use this mind. It know that, okay, I need to call this. Otherwise, it is intelligent enough. But again, at the time, you cannot be sure that it will follow the exact same sequence that you want. Probably, let's say,
Okay.
just imagine you have one send email, maybe you have two, three send email. Then it will get confused sometime that, okay, which send email I need to call at this point, maybe,
Right.
right? So that is the way. I mean, that's the reason like this methodology follow it out to get the better result. It's not like Microsoft has not recommended this thing. It's something that community people, even I learn it from my experience based on working with a different agent. Okay.
So is that is that a just text, or is it pointing to any link
No. It
to
is
that?
you can have it as a text as well. That's fine. There are two ways to write
Okay.
it. Okay. Look, you can just write it like without any hyperlink, this kind of quote as well. It can understand. Okay. If you don't want to, this is why it is hyperlink, because I'm just copy from here. Okay. So
Yes,
when you
yes, yes.
copy in the word, that's how it come up with that. So it's
Okay.
totally up to you. I mean, if you want to keep the link versus not, but yeah. Okay. But
I
I have
mean,
seen the
that's
good
okay.
result with
What I
the
mean to say, yeah, I want to see that link. Okay,
yeah,
that's what.
yeah, this
So
is
is
the
it
link.
okay? So
Yeah,
is it
but
going as a hyperlink for that tool,
yes,
or is just a underlined one word? Okay, now I got
it's
it.
hyperlink. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
generally,
thank
I
you.
have seen that even with the hyperlink, it be very specific. It doesn't. There is a no chance of getting the false result into that. So
All
that's
right.
how nowadays I just started. But I tried that without hyperlink as well. It's working fine. I mean,
Okay,
99% cases are positive. 1% maybe it's failed somewhere. But yeah.
okay,
Now,
thank you. Just want to make sure.
okay, perfect. Now let's do the testing. Look, the whole Copilot Studio is so simple, so easy. It's just a matter that this different architectural level point you need to understand. And the main thing is this instruction. If you write it properly, there is no chance of, behaving your agent any misbehavior, do not follow any instruction. It will 100% follow it. Okay. So the whole heart is come up over here. Like whichever, I mean, more and more instruction and more proper instruction you will provide, your agent will work, behave properly. Okay. Now let's see. Now the autonomous power here, because we provided everything, and based on Javid's statement, we remove the else part as well. We just keep it this, and now let's see what we are getting over there. Okay, so what I'm doing now, I'm submitting one more form over here. So let me just quickly add one thing, submit another response. So I'm just adding like through in, and I'm just adding my email address. Okay, and I'm just providing over here like first time, right? I'm just providing the positive feedback. Okay, excellent work done by event members. Kudos to everyone. Okay, I'm just providing this positive feedback first. Okay, so according to the statement, positive feedback should not trigger any email notification. Okay, now let's test this out. So I'm just going to the agent. Okay, and now I'm just going to the test mode. Okay, I just received this one. Let's start testing and see what we are getting here. Okay, let's see. Finger crossed. Okay, see, it just provided me this whole thing. The sentiment of the feedback is positive. No further action is needed. So even without a writing else statement, it understand and it executed perfectly. So it called my find sentiment. It goes to that event. It did it and perfectly. Looks good to me. Okay. Now let's try with the negative feedback. So I'm again going here. Let me submit one more form, and even let's say I'm just here. And even if you guys want to uh, submit any feedback, happy to. I'm just adding this chat window as well with the same form link. Maybe if you want to submit and wanted to see your own result, you can. Let's say I'm just adding now negative feedback over here. So I'm just providing my same email address. Okay, and I'm just providing here the feedback that very bad service. tired a lot, lots of challenges to understand the placement of the place. I'm just adding this negative sentiment now. Okay, and now let's test this out. So I'm just going here, and this is what it triggered. Okay, let's see. Start testing. What happens? Let's see. Okay, it's find a statement as negative, and now it's send an email. Okay, and we are testing for the first time, so I need to allow it over here. Okay, so I'm just allowing this, and probably, yep, it send an email. Now let me just do one thing. Let me check out my mailbox. Just a minute. Okay, and this is what I'm getting here. Dear Drovin, we value your feedback. We are sorry to hear about this. We take your concern seriously and we will improving the placement and overall service quality. We appreciate your patience for understanding. Okay, even if you want to be more specific here that our customer service person will call you in 24 hours and all, and you can just change your prompt a little bit and it will work. Okay, so this is how it usually works. Okay, now let me see if any one of you has submitted. Yeah, this is one more. I got it here. Okay, let me do that. I don't know who submitted, but let's try this out as well. Let's see what I'm getting over there. Okay, so probably that person also get good service, polite. Name is not provided, so I'm not sure. Okay, so at least it's a positive feedback, so no negative response I'm getting. Anyone want to try it out, guys? It just provide some negative statement, please. So you should receive an email as well, and we can test it live right now. If anyone do that, just raise up the hand or maybe just give the reaction so I know uh, someone submitted, and we can test this out. So at least by end of this class, you will be having at least that level of confidence to write up that prompt. Okay, so from next class onwards, maybe you will help me more to write up the prompt. So okay, now I get one more. Probably let me see. Last refresh per thing. Okay, I get one. Sagar, you submitted it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
I
Hopefully
mentioned
negative
in the
sentiment.
name also, but I mentioned in the name,
Okay,
but mm,
let's see. Yep, send an email. It did. And we are sorry to learn and understand the flow. We appreciate your input. Okay, you should receive an email now. I think it's a Vikas.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay,
that one I
perfect.
send response.
Okay, perfect. Looks good. Probably, hopefully, Vikas, you received an email.
Yes, I got the. It says
You can
dear.
see your name.
Yeah, it's no. It says dear VT. Yeah, get my
Okay,
name.
okay,
Dear
perfect.
VT. I just put VT. So thanks for your feedback. We are sorry that you heard.
Okay,
We
perfect.
appreciate you.
Okay, got it. Anyone else submitted? 742. Someone is submitted this as well. Let me trigger this out. I didn't publish, so I need to manually trigger it out. Once I publish, even no none of this. This is neutral feedback someone provided. I had an okay experience with your service. I met my expectation, but nothing particularly or nothing disappointing. So it's a neutral feedback. So for neutral feedback as well, we didn't take any action. So it didn't send any I mean any stuff over there. Okay. So yeah, look good. Now I don't think so. We need to do more testing, but yeah, so far, I mean, this is how it looks and works about the custom prompts. All right. Okay, I would like to pause here for a moment. Anyone has any question or anything to bring up? I'm happy to cover. Otherwise, we'll go to the next topic, which is schedule schedule agents. Okay, I do not see any more raise hand. Or maybe just give me the reaction. At least so far, everyone is following with me. So I understand. Okay, perfect. Sagar, you have any question? You raise your hand.
This response
Yes,
develop this response here form isn't.
yes. Sorry, what you are saying?
This reservation, how we will in this form, yes.
Uh,
How
what's your
we can
question?
build, how
How
we
you can
can
build
build
it?
this form.
This is simple. Like if even if you open your tenant, if you just go to Microsoft Form, it's just like a Google form. Click on new form and you are done. I mean, just create three
Yes.
fields over here. You are done.
Mm.
And once you create the form, it will be available for you to utilize it. Okay.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else has any other thing? Okay, I do not see any more reason. All good, perfect. Now let's go one more level up from here. And now again, another question come up into our mind that okay, we all are using this whole capability of prompt and all. Now, what would be the cost for that? Because we know nothing is free in the world of Microsoft. Whichever services, awesome services that you are using, you need to pay for that. So now let's talk about that a little bit. That what would be the per message cost when you are utilizing any specific service that we explored so far. Okay, so let me just do one quick thing over here. Let me just go to the tools over here, click on new tool, click on prompt over here. Sorry, just a minute. And when I just finding one link which is good to explain that whole thing. Just a minute. Just a minute. Tools, message, studio. Okay, so this is what your table looks like. Okay, now let's try to understand that. Okay, so we all know the basic Copilot Studio licensing, which we covered in our previous classes, right? Now, at the time, we understand one thing that it is come up as a message pack. So whenever it come up as a message pack, it is giving you the 25,000 of messages at per month level at the tenant level. Okay. Now the question is like, okay, when you are using the different services, how it is consumed it out from your billing. So this is what the table looks like. So when it gives you any classic answer, it just consume one message. So classic answer means, without any generative AI orchestration, just using knowledge source or just using the things that you have trained based on that, it will just respond you any classic answer. It consume one message. For any generative AI message, which means that whenever your generative AI orchestration is on, per each message which is generated using your knowledge source or maybe your data sources, it will consume two messages from it. Okay. When it use any agent action, it consumes five messages. Okay. Now, what do we mean by agent action? Okay. So they have specified here. Okay, what do we mean by agent action over here? So agent actions are steps such as
Sorry,
triggers. Yeah,
is should we not relate to tool action?
sorry.
Should we not relate to tool action? No, this is because they have changed it to agent.
Yes, agent, but here it's not still completely the tool. Here what they are
Okay.
referring is they are referring something else, that is something I'm explaining just right now. So when you look at this description, what they have considered, even they haven't updated some of their documentation, so don't get yourself confused. So what they are saying is agent action means action word they remove, but now they use the terminology slightly different. So these events are the step such as triggers, deep reasoning, and the topics that appear on the activity map in your Copilot Studio when you test an autonomous agent. This events doesn't include knowledge search, knowledge retrieval, or AI builder prompt. Okay, so what does it mean by that? So whenever how so, have you ever imagined like how your agent is deciding that okay, this trigger is to be called, or this trigger is to be called, or this tool is to be called, right? How it making that particular decision. So whenever we are debugging into that, on the right hand side in activity map, it is doing that doing that activity automatically for you, that okay, I need to call this trigger, or I need to call this knowledge source, right? So this whole activity map that you are seeing on the right hand side, that is called as an agent action. So and this is come up into picture only in the case of generative AI orchestration, because when Gen AI orchestration is enabled, only at that time your triggers, your tools, your inside connector, it uses the natural language to understand what to call. So this is what they mean by like agent action is consuming basically the 5 messages over here, like in any autonomous trigger agent. Let's say when I'm typing here that I want to get that resume, so which topic it need to trigger, because again it's a general language thing. So basically to make that decision, it just consume into this fashion. Again, let me just tell you, on this note there are many confusions sometimes come up into picture. So again, like to Vikas' point, I'm 100% agreed. Like they remove that word, but now still they are considering this particular decision point as an action somehow. So which is difficult sometimes to understand or process. But this is what they mean by that particular activity. Okay. Now, for tenant graph routing for any message. Now, what is tenant graph routing? We talked about that in the SharePoint class. So specifically, tenant graph routing means when you enable from your Copilot agent, specifically this part, like if I'm going to any of our agent, go into the setting, and if you go to the particularly this section, this is the stuff like use general knowledge and sorry, not this one, tenant graph routing. So this is on, which means that and again this work better with the M365 licenses. M365 Copilot license is necessary for this feature. Okay, so what they mean by that particular statement is when you are using that M365 Copilot 10 tenant graph routing, basically it is consuming the 10 messages over here for you. Okay, so this is like a main stuff. Okay, now whenever you call any flow action, okay, per 100 action, it consumes the 13 messages. So agent flow is something I didn't talk you so far. We have a dedicated class on that, but just imagine the similar like Power Automate flow inside that you have so many actions. So up to 100 action to execute it, it consumes the 13 messages over here. Obviously 100 actions are sufficient. If you have more than that, it will be like more, but this is what 13 messages. Okay. Then AI tools, here they use the word tools over here. Okay. Now here couple of things. Okay. Now in AI tools, they mean by couple of things. Let's just read this content over here. You will get better understanding around that. That text and generative AI tools. So specifically the prompt that we learned in today's class. Okay. They consider underneath that particular category. So again, there are three things. If you recall that particular statement when we created that tool, at that time it was an option to select the GPT model. Okay, and at the time I told you that each GPT model has a different price point. Okay, so let me just quickly edit that out to just showcase this again. So when you select this model, there are different options available over here, like GPT 4.1 mini, 4.0, 4.1 and O3. So this is basic category, this is standard category, and this is premium category. So if you are calling any premium category one, okay, so this is what they elaborated. So if you are using the basic model, it will consume one message. If you are choosing any standard model, per 10 responses, it will consume 15 message. And if you are consuming any premium, you will be considered as a 100 messages. Okay, so for 10 response, it will consume 15 messages. For 10 response, it will consume 100 messages. And for basic one, 10 response, it will consume one message. Okay, so this is how they are just considering their uh, overall billing rate. So simply, if I, you know, it is a big table, but they have provided one good example here as well. Let's just look at that as well if they still have this over here. Otherwise, we'll look at that into our next class as well. But the overall thing is that if you just wanted to look at out like how many how many messages is consumed by your model or your agent, the simple way to see is, you know, just observe your activity over there in your Copilot agent. So let's say if I'm going here and opening any of my agent, okay, and if I'm just going under here like activity tab, from here just open any of your stuff. Okay, here you can be able to decide this thing out. So let's say for an example, this is like your they are still, see here they are still using the concept plugin, but it's not a plugin, it's a prompt that we used. Okay, so prompt with standard model, how much it will consume, and you know it is giving you only one response, so that much of messages are consumed over there. If you are using any sentiment analysis, what how much message is consumed. Now this is an action or tool that we are consumed, so how much message is consumed. You just need to look at this table out that okay, agent flow, and this is not an agent flow, this is we can consider still as an agent action. Specifically like it will consume your 5 messages over here, uh, most probably, and uh, over here as well it will consume 5 messages, and this is what we are getting over here, like again it calling your prompt. Okay, so based on that it just do this analysis overall. Okay, again there are so many other terms and condition as well. To understand the Microsoft licensing is sometimes very difficult and changing very frequently. This is very cheap pricing, I can still say that. The reason why I'm saying is earlier this pricing was so high in January. They reduced this price cost around March month. Now they just make it like very, and in future possibility that more and more usage will be there. You will having the better billing rate as well for yourself. But again here there is one more terms and condition. Another condition is, let's say if you are having M365 Copilot license already, which is $30 per user per month license. Okay, at the time, for any kind of classic generative agent action and tenant graph routing, they are not charging anything. So it natively included with your M365 Copilot license. Okay, but if you don't have any M365 Copilot separate license, which is $30 per user per month, in that case, it will charge you this much of messages. Okay, so terms and conditions are there. And at the end, if you just wanted to look at out your overall billing that is done by your organization or your different people, the simplest way to check this thing out is just go to the admin center. They have some reporting available over there where you can check out some sort of consumption report, and based on that you can decide that okay, how much is average consumption there, because per agent wise you will not be able to uh, clearly articulate, because again if you look at these charges, right, so here it is like 10 messages for sorry, if you look at this like for 15 10 responses, it's 15 message, right? Now how they are considering this whole thing, like okay, sometimes you are not getting even 10 responses as well. So again it's a small very micro calculation that is done happening behind the scene for the whole activity. Okay, so the simplest way to check this out is always looking at your Power Platform Admin Center, and over here underneath Copilot you will always be able to see its build messages, that okay, how many messages it is consuming over here. Okay, and when you look at in detail manage billing, probably you will be able to get the more details around that 38 messages are consumed so far, and it's coming from which environment, like this environment batch 23 environment, it's coming from here. Okay, like 5,000 are allocated here, 7,000 are allocated here. Now if you look at even in detail over there, you will be able to see this, and you can see via chat agent as well that okay, you created this one, it's consumed 2 messages so far, it consumed 15 messages so far, it consumed this much of messages. So detailed reporting as an administrative level, you can just check it out over here and see into detail. And again, they are classifying this as well over here. Again, it's sometimes very difficult to understand some of the terminology because they are changing some of the responses, I mean terminology frequently. So you can see this one was just a classic answer, so it just show you this one. This one was agent action. Okay, so it consumed the 15 messages over here. Sales genie, you can see this is agent action, this is classic answer, this is again action, this is classic answer. And that's how you are able to see this kind of detailing around the stuff for yourself. Okay, so this is how, like, at the high level, so at least, like, I'm not saying that in detail you need to know, but again, like, when we are working with it, everything is come up with some sort of price point that we need to still consider over here. Now over here I'm just pausing for a moment. If anyone has any question with respect to uh, at least, and as I say, like March 2025, it's changing. If you are looking the same thing from the recording in the future, maybe check the official documentation for the latest updates. Apart from that, there is nothing on top of this, basically. Okay, so it's something that you don't need to purchase any additional thing. Already you have Copilot message pack license purchase. Those message pack capacity, how it distribute with the different action or tool, that is how they have explained it over here in this documentation. Okay, I can see now first raise hand from Anand. You have question?
Yeah, Dhruvin, can you show the table once? Yeah. So in this table, the first column comes about the feature, second column comes about the billing rate. Okay. So
Correct.
they the unit is messages of the billing rate.
Yes.
Now the third and the fourth column is confusing me. So third, as reference from the last class of the licensing. Okay. So Microsoft 365 $30 license and one more was there on the right in the middle, right? 25,000 message per pack, that thing,
Yes. That's
25,000,
correct.
yeah, the tenant level. So, if I have 25,000 tenant license, then I will be deducted with messages every time, right?
Look, there are two scenarios into that. Number one, if you are having only 25,000 message package, then everything will be deducted from here. Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
clear? Let's say if you are having both this 25,000 one plus your M365 Copilot, both, then up to this point, it will not deducted from your 25,000 capacity. Okay,
Okay.
it's free for you because you are already paying $30 extra per month for user.
Per user. Yeah.
Yes. So they are
Super
giving it
premium.
as a complimentary user. So that's where, many times people get confused. So if you are having both, then of course you're not charging anything. But if you don't have this, then of course it will charge from your message capacity. But only four are provided as complimentary. Even though you have M365, this is still chargeable. Okay.
And
This
from
is
where this charging will happen if means like I have having 25,000 plus M365. So this charging of the below actions will be done from the tenant
25,000.
class.
Correct.
Okay. So in this case, there will be a requirement of auto means like auto subscription or maybe something which is like more tenant level licenses like that. Because
It's
at the enterprise
25,000.
level,
Yeah, go ahead.
one agent will be used by many of the users, right?
Correct.
So this will be an repetitive task.
Yep.
So I'll just take an example of invoice reader and collecting all the information to a database. So this is a repetitive task. So in this, like after 25,000, how it will be charged? Means like how this subscription will auto renew or something?
It will not auto renew. It will start throwing the email, I mean email notification to your tenant admin that your
Admins.
capacity
Okay.
about to exhaust. And again, like as I shown you at the beginning itself, like this overall 25,000 again you can distribute across the environment. So here there is an option manage capacity. So again, if you want to cross charge to your business, here as well you can see the whole summary that
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is within capacity, this is out of your capacity, and capacity management as well. You can completely do it for yourself. Like okay, I want to provide this environment as only 5,000 capacity or 10,000, whichever way you want. It's not auto scale at this point. It will start throwing you the warnings, but again it's still right now for any organization right now they are just experimenting this. Like in future if they having the more user they can purchase more additional message packs and they can increase the capacity.
So
Yeah,
Dhruvin, let's suppose I am practicing in your tenant, okay, the tenant which we have configured,
yeah,
and I see that you have managed the capacity. So after 12,000 message, let's suppose I'm doing repetitive things and 12,000 is consumed example, okay? So then it will be message will be triggered on you as you are the tenant admin, right?
that's
On
correct.
your email ID. But the user
Yes,
will not get any kind of this
they will not
thing.
get the
Yeah,
response simply.
not get the
They
response. Yeah, that is,
yes,
yeah.
they will start getting error out or maybe the response is getting slower. So it's like same like in Power Automate as well. Right now we have some limit API, right? But still it is throttle. It's not stopping from anything. It's just taking longer time. So customers themselves are getting tired and stop using it, right? So it's like that at this point.
Like in ChatGPT free version, if we put more than 20 questions in a day, then it tells about the
Yeah,
today limit is done. So can
yeah.
we set for our users also as an
No,
admin part? Like, no, right?
you will not get that. Yeah, because ChatGPT, why you are getting because you are the owner of the same ChatGPT that you are buying as a license, right? Your license is at the capacity level. So if you show that message, people are literally getting more confused than okay, my capacity is maybe they it's just come up with a flooded of lots of email. But I believe hopefully in the future they will increase the auto scale like Power BI, but right now it's not there. That's the case.
And for,
Yeah.
let's suppose in personal productivity, how this all will be charged? Let's suppose I'm just doing a practice. So I will not be able to use these features, right? Without any licenses.
You can because you are on the trial. Trial don't capture
Trial.
any.
Yes, yes, yes. Got it, got it. Trial. Yeah, got it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep, perfect. I can see next raise hand from Javid.
Uh, I just want to be clarified on the messages. It's like a token, right?
Yes, it's like a token. You can consider out 25,000 tokens. In ChatGPT term, yes, it's called as a token.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, and then just to clarify again, when we say the 25,000 licenses, let's say we have the two columns, like you are showing right now, column 3 and column 4, right? Which one, if I got both licenses, which one is it going to use? For example, the last one.
For this one,
No, column 3 and 4. Let's say I'm talking about row, last row.
this one,
Yeah, which one of the two licenses it is going to use if I've got both licenses?
this one, 25,000 one. Because M365 Copilot do not come up with any kind of capacity. From here, it's both the same. You can see. So this is not, this is, as I say, like, it's confusing. They should actually because M365 level honestly they don't offer any capacity. It's just a user based license. So ideally this column should be empty in the actual scenario, but they just make it. So don't get confused that here it come up with some sort of capacity. No, it's not come up with any capacity here. It by default start consuming from your whole uh, Copilot message pack capacity.
This means that if I didn't have the third last one, I would not be able to use
Yep.
the M365 one because it doesn't have.
M360. Okay, look, don't confuse yourself with M360. M365 Copilot is a different Copilot. Okay, and the one that we are doing is Copilot Studio. Okay, that's why in many cases I don't want. Uh, so far we didn't. In any class, whatever we built, it's nothing to do with M365 Copilot. M365 Copilot has a whole different interface. Let me just show you if I can, if I have any one of my customer tenant.
I think so, Dhruvin, this table what they have created is somewhat confusing table for the first
I
glance.
know, I know, I know it's confusing, but this is how it is actually. I mean, you and me, we really can't do anything on that specifically because M365, just imagine M365 Copilot is nothing there with us. Just imagine you are having only one at this point for yourself, and that's what you are using it out. So it will not create any confusion for anyone. Just a minute. Hopefully it will not ask for authenticator again to me. Please, I don't want to do this. Okay, here I am. So this is called as your M365 Copilot. Okay, here as well there is a capability. So it's sometimes we are literally getting confused that okay, what if I'm building agent here versus building agent over there? So here as well you can do so many different things. Okay, so basically it falls underneath this particular part. Okay, now here as well create an agent option is there, right? And again see it render now Copilot Studio. So again, like don't get yourself confused here. So whatever you are creating here, it's your M365 Copilot. Whatever we build, it's global. It's your that Copilot available here as well. That Copilot we can use anywhere where we want. But this M365 Copilot will only be in the context of this office. Okay, so this is where don't get yourself confused. We didn't created anything around that part, and it doesn't come up with the capacity, and that's why it's both same. So just consider it will like your overall message capacity. It will just consume it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ruvin.
Yep. Perfect. Next, I can see the reason from Kirtish.
Yeah, hi Dhruvin. So this message consumption starts after publishing the agent or
Yes,
with testing
publishing.
also?
Publishing.
Okay,
Testing, it is testing when you are on the trial version, it will not consume any of your messages. It will be after publishing. Yep.
okay, okay. Will do.
Uh, Vikas, I think if you are speaking, I'm not able to hear you, Vikas.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, in the chat I have put something. I'm just trying
Okay,
to just go very basic, very basic.
okay.
And when we say autonomous agent has lots of tools. Each tool has a connectors and that has trigger, and each trigger is associated with multiple actions. Is this way to structure it out right? Because I'm getting confused with this, and
No,
this will automate. No. So
no,
then the mess. Okay. So this is not the way. I'm just
no, no,
talking
no.
very. Okay.
For your understanding perspective, you are 100% right. Like, this is how it's structured. But now what they do, let me just give you a little bit light on this particular part. So let's say I'm in this agent. Okay. Now how they revamp this thing out. I mean, sometimes, don't take names too much seriously. Like, okay, you have agent, you talk about tools here, right? Now you are saying
Yes.
inside that connectors triggers action. Okay.
Yes.
So let me tell you, connector is fine. Okay. But trigger is separate. I mean, but again, it's underneath tools, but not it's underneath connector. Okay. So don't get yourself confused. You can see triggers at the root level here. So this is your trigger. But if you talk about the Power Automate terminology, yeah, trigger and inside flow, there is an action, that's a different story. But trigger is, so your should be look like this. At the root level, you are having agent. In agent, you are having different tools. you are having different triggers, you are having different topics like this. Okay, now
Yeah.
tools. They categorize tools now into multiple part. Okay, tools can be your connector action. Okay, I'm still using the word action because I'm more familiar with that.
Yeah,
Connector
that's fine.
action. It can be custom connector action. It can be your MCP server. It can be your Power Automate flow. It can be your prompt. Okay, so they have categorized this all
Correct.
underneath
Yeah.
tools. Okay,
Yeah.
now when you are talking about the last point, actions. So for me now, right now, action is whatever I'm writing into my automate flow or in the trigger. So let's say if I'm
Mm.
writing something over here in my trigger as a next step, that would be my action. But sometimes like trigger action I can use mainly in the terms of when automate come up into picture. But at this level, if I need to say action, I would say like I can still believe tools equal to action for me because I know the previous terminology.
Correct. Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that's how it is. So actions are not a underneath trigger, but it is just at just whichever way you want to clarify. But this is how
Yeah.
I'm saying this whole terminology. Hopefully it is
No, no, no.
clear.
I totally agree from the beginning. But where if you see what I'm trying to use, autonomous agent, because once you have an autonomous agent, you have to generative AI. You need to be activated, and
Correct,
that activate as soon as you activate generative AI, then the tools comes in picture.
correct.
And
Yeah,
in not in non basically in a normal agent, non automation agent, tools doesn't come in picture.
exactly. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense, right? It makes sense
Yes.
still. Let me tell you, it makes sense, but what level? Let me tell you. You bring up very good point now. Let's say, for an example, you didn't use the generative orchestration here, right? Let's say it is turn off. So it will not follow any of the instruction over here.
Correct.
Okay. It will be your classic interface. Okay. But let
Correct.
me tell you, this is what we did here as well in the previous example, like HR resume analyzer, right?
Yeah.
I didn't provided any instruction over here, right? I still created a prompt. Okay. Prompt is again my tool, right? And I'm
Yes.
calling that tool from my topic. So at the time, technically, if you look at this, I mean, at the high level, and if you recall, I turned off intentionally that, resume analyzer, and at the time, I just disabled this one at this point.
Mhm.
And what I'm
Mhm.
doing is, I'm implicitly calling it from my this topic, which is resume or CV analysis. And
Mm.
over here, I just use this particular thing. And
Mm.
here as well, you can add all these tool things that you are building over here. So in
Mm.
this particular case, it might, I mean, still terminology, I mean, you can use it. It's not like we can 100% say that, okay, if it is classic agent, then tools doesn't come up into picture. It comes up into this way. It calls your topic and
Via
from
topic,
topic, yes,
you
not
call the tool.
independent. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just again going back to our core topic, which was we were doing the calculating the message.
yes,
Now we did one exercise. Okay. Whether in weather we just put up a message that give me Ahmedabad weather, and then
yes.
later on we do another round of where we put Ahmedabad, Mumbai, and London.
Hmm,
Now in both of the cases, parallelly in activity map we saw it was triggered three
three
times.
times, correct.
Okay, so the calculation will be now three times at the back based on
Yes,
the.
very. That's correct. So at the time that was a tool action, right? So
Hmm.
that tool action is consuming five messages. So five multiplied by three. You ask three
15.
queries to it. So
Yes.
15. That would be your
Message was
consumption.
message input was one, but it has
Yes,
gone and sub trigger
yes.
three iterations.
Three iterations. Yes, that's correct. So it's same like you try to become intelligent, but Microsoft is more intelligent than us. I mean, yeah. So
Thank
it's
you.
like that. Yep. Right. All right. Anyone else has any other question? Okay, so finally the licensing part is finished. So this is the last part of the licensing which I wanted to cover. Earlier we covered the first half of the licensing. This is the second half of the licensing. Now, one last piece will remain when we go into future classes where we do this integration with M365 as well. For that, I need to use different tenant because I need both the licenses in one place at that time. So we'll see in the future class, but this is how it looks like. Okay. Now, before I move forward, just give me some reaction at least for this messaging part. Everyone is clear with me. Okay, great. Now we are doing one last very easy exercise. Okay, if you know the Power Automate, it's very fairly simple. Schedule agent. It's nothing any rocket science. It's just like your schedule flow. But only thing is that flow you need to write lots of logic. While in case of agent, you don't need to write any extra logic. It just make your life very, very simple. Okay. So let's just quickly create a new agent over here. So I'm just going here and let's create a new agent. And I'm simply copy pasting some of the descriptions over here. So I don't need to redo whole thing. Daily schedule agent, and task is very simple. Again, people who are part of my Power Automate class, maybe that is my when I start my flow classes, my first exercise was that, and it is like I'm explaining always in the second class, particularly that exercise and flow class. It looks very hard to build that whole logic and write long actions and make the flow like 10-15 action long flow. Okay, but now with this schedule agent, just couple of prompt and you are all done. I mean, you don't need to do any extra activity for that. So this is a daily schedule agent. I'm just clicking on create. I'm not providing any description or anything. Only thing is that the main part is its trigger because it's a schedule trigger. Okay, and what task I want to achieve here? Let me just quickly show you here. So this is one of my SharePoint, and I have task reminder list over here. Okay, and in the task reminder list, I have three columns: task, due date, and assign to. Okay, I want to send a reminder to the people. Let's say here there are two people, Dhruvin and contact. Okay, let's say 2 days before due date, I just want to remind them that, okay, your task is due, maybe just finish this up. Okay, if I need to do this whole activity in the world of Power Automate only, it will take so much time for me because I need to write whole logic. I need to first retrieve the data, then I need to group by the data. For that, I need to write the loop condition. I need to format the data. Then I need to fix it into HTML template, and then I need to send an email. Okay, this whole activity I need to do, and I know the same use case we were doing in the world of Power Automate during Power Automate class. At the time, almost it was around 1.5 hours of exercise. Now with this one, we can just do this whole thing within 15-20 minutes. Okay, let's see how. So the simple task is read the data from SharePoint. If the task is due in next 2 days, just send the email notification to that user. Okay, and simply think in a natural language how you as a manager think and give it to your uh, developer to do this. Same instruction you need to provide and you are all set. Okay, let's do this now. So first of all, what I'm doing here is just going to the agent. Let's go to the trigger first. So go to the trigger, and to create the schedule trigger, this is the option recurrence. So this is exactly like your schedule flow. So recurrence will do the activity daily basis, that okay, at how much frequent interval you want to execute. So click on that. And once you do that, first of all, you need to provide the frequency, that what frequency you want to provide to your trigger, that how much time it will trigger in a day or something. So I'm just providing the name recurring Copilot trigger for auto task. Click on next. Every 30 minute, 5 minute, how much frequency you want to provide here. Okay, I'm just providing every day it should be trigger. So every day. Okay, that's it. Click on create trigger over here. Okay, or maybe right now let me just provide like every 5 minute maybe. Okay, click on create trigger, and it will create the Power Automate flow behind the scene. Okay, now when you create the flow, the next step is obviously you need to get the data from the list and you need to supply the data that your agent can process. Your entire business logic will go into the particular agent. I mean, from flow side, you just need to supply the raw data to it. Okay, and for that what we will do is simply this is my trigger. Okay, behind the scene we know that it's a ultimately Power Automate trigger. Click on that and it will just open up your Power Automate over here. It's nothing any rocket science, it's fairly very simple. Now what we will do here is obviously recurrence trigger will not provide you any output, so this body is useless at the end when we are supplying to the agent, right? Simply what we need to do here is whatever is in my SharePoint, I can just supply it out. Okay, or maybe I can make a filter query with the get item action in the SharePoint and tell it that okay, in last 2 days, whatever data are there, just give it to me. Okay, or even if you don't want to do this right now, what I'm doing here is it's more on you that how from Power Automate you want to supply it out. Okay, so it's your Power Automate skill at this point. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, I'm just using get items action over here. I'm just looking out my Power Automate use cases and I have task reminder list over here for me. Task reminder list. Okay, and I'm getting the whole response over there. Okay, even if you want to restrict the stuff, you can write a filter condition that okay, it should be like for this particular date or this date. I leave it to you. Okay, so right now I'm just making this way task reminders. That's it. And now what I'm doing here is I'm just making the response a little bit smaller so we can consume it properly inside the Power Automate. Because right now, let's say if I'm just saving this flow, okay, and if I want to taste this out, like what this get item is giving to me, it is just giving me the whole JSON response. So I'm simply clicking on manual taste over here, publish and taste, run the flow, click on done. Okay, it's just a warning, you can ignore it. It's just running but not showing me. Let me just go back. Okay, here I am. It ran, right? And in get items, I'm getting this whole response in form of JSON like this. I can get every item over here in the JSON array. And now we know that we don't require all these unnecessary thing to be passed over there at the end of the result for my Copilot agent to do the business logic that last 2 days due date and send the email, right? So what can I do is I can just filter down this result version a little bit because I don't want all the unnecessary thing to the agent and want the agent to be confused. So what I'll do here is I'll simply take one select statement over here because we know that select is something which is giving and I mean making your result a little bit shrink. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just making select statement from get items already sending you body value. So I need the name of the person. I mean task, due date, and assigned to. Only these three tasks I need, right? So I can just provide like task and I can just make it like okay, I need the title column over there. I need due date and I'll supply over here like a due date column and I'll just provide that assigned to and inside that I'll just provide assigned to email because I wanted to send them an email. So again it's a people picker, so I'm just sending the assigned to email. Okay, so I'm getting this whole response over here. All right, and now what I'm doing here is I'm getting this one. I can just take the compose action afterward to see what I'm getting there. And in here, I'll just provide that compose output is something, output item is something which I am literally looking for. Okay, so whatever output that I'm getting over here, now that is something I just need to supply at the end over here. Okay, so what I'll do is simply, I'm just, sorry, it shouldn't go into the loop like this. Just give me a minute. Whatever the whole output is there, just print on the compose and compose has this whole result. And now over here, instead of this body, Let's apply whatever your compose output is there. Okay, perfect. Save and publish. So it will just shrink this little result a little bit and just send it to you for the future purpose. So publishing this out, that's good. And now what we'll do is just going to the agent. Okay, and we already added the trigger over here, recurring Copilot trigger auto task. Okay, and now we just need to add a tool for sending an email. So Office 365 Outlook, send an email, not get email. I need to use send email. Okay, add and configure. Perfect, you are done. Send an email. I'm not making any much changes here. Click on save. I don't need everything dynamically. So all good. Perfect. Let's go back. And now I have base thing ready for me. Now just a matter, I need to do the instruction over here. I'm just copy pasting my instruction now. You are daily scheduler agent. You will get the task via recurring agent. Over here, I'm just becoming very specific via this trigger. What is the name of the trigger? This one. Okay. You need to analyze the task during next 2 days and group them by whom it assigned to. You need to use send an email action. So let's just be very specific. Copy the exact same spelling to send the task to each individual one. Make sure that you don't miss anyone. Email should be well formatted HTML. Okay, just making basic instruction which we all know how to write it out. So I'm just simply saving this now. Now you don't need to write any of the logic here that okay, out of this how many are due in the next 2 days and all. If you do that completely in Power Automate, it will be lengthy flow. But here it's just a simple instruction and it do that whole logic for you. Okay, now what you need to do as a next step, let's test this out. But before testing, schedule flow can be tested from the published version in a proper fashion. So make sure you publish this one. Okay, because manual way you will not be able to test it properly. So just publish this up. Okay, you publish this, all good. All right, and now to test this out one time, what I'm doing here is I'm just going to the trigger. I get this kind of trigger because it trigger every 5 minutes, right? So let me just do start testing, but I probably believe it will not be 100% be tested the way we want. But you will not be able to see the actions to be triggered perfectly over there. Probably it will start throwing you this kind of message at this point. Okay, just avoid that at this point because to test the schedule flow, we just need to wait for some things because we just published. So probably in next few seconds, it will be trigger again automatically. And again, you can observe that mechanism over there as well here, like it failed 4 minutes ago. Let me do one thing. Let me run this here and see if I can get this out. So it ran 1 second ago, it ran. Okay. Probably now I can able to see the same thing into my activity section as soon as it trigger because we already published this one. So this is automated. Let's see. It look at this. It completed. But let's see. Did it send any email or not? Not yet. And let's see here as well. Running status is successful. So let's just have a quick look. So So it sends the prompt as well properly. And if you look at this, okay, it just call the, see, it's not save my flow. If I'm editing this, this is the run. Let me publish this out. Sorry, I totally forget this to publish, I think. Published. Now, let me run that again here. Run the flow. Click on done. As soon as you run it, it will be available over here. Let's see. You are getting this whole output, and that's something you are passing there. And now I can see emails coming to out, right? Hi Dhruvin, these are the two tasks. Do you want that due date is this, blah blah blah, and this is I'm getting. And now if I'm looking at last refresh flow, this is what the automated task, and this is exactly it did. Just going here, send an email, and two people they find from this thing, like Dhruvin and another person is contact. So contact person is also getting this notification. Dhruvin also get this notification, and it executed its entire activity completely for its own. Okay, so this is how it usually works in the world of Copilot Studio. I mean, it's schedule flow. Now, just imagine if you are doing this whole thing in Power Automate, it will be like too much work on that. But here, just like a natural language instruction, and you are all done. Your agent is set up. Now, with that, you can cover up unlimited capability. Now, just imagine whatever use case you have in mind that every day this should happen automatically or this should happen automatically. You can do it everything by your own using just this kind of logics. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it about today. In next class, we will focus on the custom connector. Okay. Now I'll just pausing here for a moment. If anyone has any question, I'm happy to jump in and answer. The stage is open for any Q&A.
Yes.
Yes, Javed, go ahead.
Yes, Druid, but then I'm just thinking something. But then when we do Power Automate, right? Very often we have to get this kind of situation where we have to get reminders. Then from Power Automate, we can call Copilot.
From Power Automate to call a Copilot. So this is exactly what we are doing. This is your Power Automate, right? Ultimately, it's a trigger. So it started from here, and ultimately the data is something you are sending to your Copilot. So you are calling your Copilot from here. So yes, you are doing that. But your question is, let's say you start your Power Automate, and in between the Power Automate, you want to call your Copilot to perform some activities, correct?
Yeah,
That's
like
what
this
you are.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. There is an action available at the Power Automate level as well. So when you go here, let's say this is your Power Automate, search for Copilot. When you search for Copilot, it is having couple of action, execute Copilot. Okay. Now, when you click on that, here you need to provide what agent you want to call. Okay, so let's say you are saying that, okay, I want to call my sales genie 2 agent. So you just pick up that, and over here, you just need to, these are optional field. And if you want to supply any specific body or message from here to your Copilot, you can do that and do the rest of the task from there as well if you want. So yes, the capability is there both the way, from here to your automate or from Power Automate to your Copilot. It is available. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else has any other question before we wrap up for today's class? Or maybe just give me directions, at least the schedule flow part, schedule agent, not flow. It is clear for everyone. Maybe just give me some sort of reaction, at least you all understand. Okay. So Monday we'll talk more about the custom connector topic in detail. I can see reason from Sagar, you have a question.
Yeah, I have a basic question. scheduled and automatic instant. These three flows we can follow the same steps. We can follow.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Flow logic is same. I mean, it's just a
Mm.
matter that how you want to trigger it out. Automated trigger is based on the action. Scheduled flow is based on the schedule time, and instant means you call it manually. It's like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Right.
Dhruvin, do you have
Yes,
30 seconds after this call?
yes, yes.
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time, and have a great evening ahead. And have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you. Same to you. Same to you,
Yeah.
Bruce.
See you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bayan.
Bye.